This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Matthew Dean Hollis.
Definitely. So I think there's a mindset which people still have in the third world about serving or making such people happier, pleasing them, if you will, who look like they're colonizers.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people can't really make a distinction between a British and American and Australian. To them, they're white people.
Mhm.
And when they think of white people, they think these are the people who have taught us how to become better human beings, or whatever we have today, it's because of these people. And we have to go beyond our, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like whatever they have or their abilities
Mhm.
to be pleasing, which is not understood by such folks who have lived abroad, like you've extensively traveled.
Mhm.
For example, $10 means something to us uh, in terms of a sandwich, right? However, $10 in a third world country, depending which country, say in Asia, might be their 1 month's wheat.
Mhm.
Right. So if they are sacrificing, and I've seen that, oh my God, we have to do something, same thing with steak,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They might have sacrificed their month's ration to host,
Yeah.
or to even like garlands. I don't know how you would treat it at this
Mhm.
island,
Yeah.
but a few things like I know people do in those countries, like garland or getting rose petals,
Yeah.
and
They gave us bride prices.
oh wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So they're made from these shells that they dive all the way down, like 40 feet down,
Mhm.
to get these shells and then carve them into little beads and then put, yeah.
So there's an effort on
Yeah,
wall.
oh,
Like
yeah.
first you go down.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. And if we are used to, say, we know, oh, I can get that for $1 at a Dollar Tree because it's made in China or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to relate to them at their level, unless what you guys did, spend time and embrace that. And I see that a lot of missionaries, especially those missionaries who there's a guy, say, who has some sort of following in the US.
Yeah.
Or in the UK. And he's nowhere closer to Billy Graham, like some sort of following,
Mhm.
let's say 10K
Yeah.
followers on Instagram, and he's a preacher type guy. He'd go to countries such as Pakistan. So now he's a white guy. He'll be welcomed a lot. Oh my God, our boss came as a lord or a king or whatever, right? And because also we have to understand the historical fact that, say, Pakistan, when the British ruled, they converted the most marginalized people of these communities, extremely poor.
Mm.
The personal problem I have is they converted them, so they got saved, but they never integrated those people into their own faith-based communities because there was a sense of we are the lords.
Yeah.
And these people were lords, Lord Mountbatten, Lord, etc., Lord this, and then you are the peasants,
Mhm.
right? Now you're saved to get to heaven, but you were not called to commune with us.
Yeah.
So these people were not welcomed to, quote unquote, these fancy church buildings,
Mhm.
which happened after Brits left and the country became more independent. And then the local church or whatever organization was, they probably removed Church of England and converted England into Pakistan.
Yeah.
Right. But the everything like pipe
Yeah.
and all, it's all the same.
Yeah.
And so those people still have that mentality that people who converted us, who made us better human beings or civilized human beings, because there was also this sense among some colonizers and mission works that unless you dress up like us, you speak the language we speak, which is very funny because you talked about India.
Yeah.
in Indian movies, I think I haven't watched any Indian movie in years now, but we grew up watching Indian cinema and television. It was very popular in Pakistan. So I think the 90s or even their classic movies would have, whenever they want to show a guy or a woman from a Christian background, first they would name them English, which is fine. I think people did that. These missionaries, like, say, there's a local Indian guy and he's Peter.
Mhm.
But then the expectation was that you'd use the English term God, right? So it becomes funny in their own regional accent, or they're like they are wearing, like women would wear they used to call frocks, the long dresses. And it's just like it's a little weird, I would say, because that's not the others. The majority is not like that,
Yeah.
but they are following the teachings of their masters or lords, and they are living out that type of Christianity because that's important to being a Christian, and no one really challenged that.
Yeah.
And whenever they see somebody who looks like their missionary, or the dad told them, or the grandfather, like, you
Yeah.
go there, like, okay, so and so was here, say William Booth,
Yeah.
General William Booth of Salvation Army.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how he looked like,
Yeah.
but I'm assuming, and this, I'm making it up. If somebody says, oh, my grandpa told me he was like you because he had golden
Yeah.
hair and blue eyed and tall man. So now I have an image
Mhm.
that you are one of those people.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that I'm going to try to do everything for you.
Mhm.
And it requires a lot of sacrifice. But for you, if you are that ignorant person who hasn't
Yeah.
traveled, like what did they do? Like spend $5 on me?
Yeah.
I did a lot because I flew from the US. I spent a couple of grand on my air ticket,
Yeah.
and then I am contributing or pitching in to this movement that has spent 10 grand on them
Yeah.
without paying attention unknowingly to what they have done, what you said,
Yeah.
because I don't really understand what $10 means to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very powerful. And I think it's also a good reminder to all of us who do mission work abroad. I personally like to respect people's traditions
Mm-hmm.
and even language. I know we live in the time, especially 9/11 and the war on terror, uh, where the words, for example, the English term for God, not English, Arabic term for God, Allah, is such a scary word. People in the United States, like, who haven't been exposed to other people, if you use that term, they might get scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we can't learn that every language does not call Jesus Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
It's different languages. Isa in Arabic,
Yeah.
right? And Urdu, it's Yesu. And Ish, I don't know what Hindi is. But for example, Hindi word for God is Ishwar, right? And Arabic, it's Allah. And English is God. I don't know about Hebrew. But
Yahweh.
we're talking about Yahweh?
Yahweh.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I thought Yahweh is the name from the Bible. Yahweh, right?
Yeah.
Yahweh. Okay, cool. So it doesn't mean that we're talking about different things. So concepts should not freak us out, but we can't help unless those are taught to us or introduced to us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why do we call God God? Because it's in English, right?
Yeah.
And we went to Saudi Arabia, probably they would have called it Allah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why? I love why. So you were talking about why. Let's talk
Yeah,
about why
yeah.
first. Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's an interesting a lot of people have wants and hopes and dreams and aspirations, and that is good, that, to have something that you're working towards. But not a lot of people can actually flesh out why they want those things or what that means. Um, or they'll say things about their past, or, oh, look, I accomplished this thing. Okay, well, why does that matter? What is the purpose of that? How is that enhancing your life, or
Those
what
were
is that
exactly
doing?
the struggles because
Yeah.
I I remember like in the acting school, and some people would post on their social media that, okay, I joined the union.
Mhm.
Great accomplishment,
Yeah.
right? I got my new headshots.
Yeah.
All right. But that piece was missing.
Yeah.
And last year, when I was toward the end of last year, I was like, I'm going to do something different. I wasn't sure how, what, and all that. And then I went after this idea of bringing logic into our conversations, rationality of things, including the belief system we have. And I'm glad you asked me. Sorry, this was when we were having lunch. We were talking about where Matt said, "Oh, this podcast is about why." That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear it in your words. Say whatever
Yeah.
you were saying.
I was saying that it was interesting because um, when I was first dating my girlfriend, I would ask her why about something she wanted. And she'd say, "Oh, I want this." And I go, "Why?" And she'd go, "I don't know." And I feel like that's a lot of people's experience of they know what they want,
Mhm.
but they don't actually understand why they want what they want. And I feel like this podcast, the whole point is to discover the why
Mhm, mhm,
of what makes you who you are
mhm,
and why are you the way you are,
mhm,
you know?
mhm,
Which I think is that's the more important question.
mhm.
The
Yeah.
what? I mean, you
As
can
as
do
I
it.
said during the lunch break, that if you say I'm in love with you or I like you,
Yeah.
and the usual answer might be, "Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you, kind of you," or "I feel the same."
Yeah.
Instead of that, if the starting point is, "Why would you say that?"
Mm-hmm.
Not why, what do you want? Because that's
Yeah.
also where I think it's very wrong. I'm using a
Yeah.
strong language here. That if you talk to a stranger, the answer, "Why are you talking to me?" No, that
Yeah.
why is different. We're not
Yeah.
talking about that. Why, like, you like me, you just saw me, you just met me. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, your eyes are very pretty. Now it can keep going.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What does pretty
Yeah.
means?
Yeah.
But the simplistic form will be because you're a really intelligent person.
Yeah.
And I love being in conversations with people who are highly intelligent and intellectual, period. Okay. So that's the foundation of your spark.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I get it. If it's, oh, because you are so hot or you're so sexy, still I get why.
Yeah.
Right. If it's like, oh, I know that you're highly involved in this thing, and I think we both have the same vision, we'll make a great couple together. The sad reality is, and you have worked at a bar at not at a bar, at bars,
Yeah.
and you can speak to it more, involved in more theater than me. Uh, so I think, which is something I personally don't like, you can't really talk about these things directly,
Mm.
especially in romantic relationships. It's just like, hey, you want to hang out? Oh, my friends are gonna watch a movie. You wanna come with us? So no one really does that. Hey, I've seen you really being active at a soup kitchen. I like to work with people who are homeless, and it's really excelling within our communities because of inflationary. And I think we would make a great couple because we have the same vision
Yeah.
for our lives.
Yeah.
Period. And the answer might, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think in my case, I haven't tried that, but
Yeah.
I'll try it now.
Yeah.
But instead of just like, I like you, and the answer is yes, because then you were thinking, oh, maybe he likes my dress.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes, but maybe he thinks I'm hot. You don't know the exact thing happening there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were looking for either material things or things that fade away because
Yeah.
especially like our younger people, uh, say New York City, they'll say, "Oh, we are great in bed. That's why we should be together."
Yeah.
Okay, that's not gonna stay there forever,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then what? They'll say, "Oh, let's change the partner." I don't think we should be together. I think like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a an ease in just dating to date and being able to just go, oh yeah, let's go on a date. And then, oh, I had fun. A general
Fun is such
and
an
then you go
overused
and then you
term.
go on the next date, and then you go on the next date,
Yeah.
and now you're like, oh well, we've been on enough dates that now we should be dating. So then you date, and now you're in a relationship, but you don't actually know the answers to the questions that you need to have a partner. Whereas when my girlfriend and I met, it was right after New Year's, and I had made intentional the word of the year for me. I had never done a word of the year. I thought it was kind of dumb, but
You
yeah,
want the editor to write intention.
yeah.
Word of the year.
But I decided that I was, for that year, going to be intentional with everything that came out of my mouth, with everything I would do, with everything I would say. I would be impeccable with my word, one of the 4 agreements. But part of that was in dating. And we went on our first date, and I asked her about politics. I asked her about religion. I asked her about finances, because I knew that if I wanted to marry someone, we needed to agree on those things. So I decided I'm going to do it on the first date.
You were genuinely interested in getting to know her.
Yeah.
And her belief system about these.
And if we didn't agree, good. Because now I don't have to waste her time, and I don't have to waste my time.
And no emotions involved, no hot aches.
Yeah.
Nothing, I'm going to use a phrase, I don't know how many people know it, soul ties.
Soul ties.
Yeah. So, when I was saying this, I met this woman in Vietnam. And I don't know, he and I, we really hit it off. I don't know how old he is. His all hair is white or gray. And something he began shaving, and I said, "Oh, soul ties." And he was like, "Yeah, I knew you would know that phrase," because generally we don't really use that unless it's like old, ancient, some religious or Catholic literature that would argue that 2 people, when they are just in a sexual relationship, that initiates a soul tie, which has its own consequences.
Yeah.
So, but going back to this idea of dating for dating, itself is a term that's confusing.
Yeah.
For some people, just having an F buddy is dating.
Yeah.
So, we're casually dating. For some people, they would say, we're casually dating. They would use that phrase. Now there's a new phrase, situationship.
Oh, yeah.
But, but the thing is, if you really wanna, whether or not later it works out or not, you should go into the relationship with the clear mindset. That I'm aligning myself, my soul, my spirit. Because, see, in our faith system, 2 people become one. Which in itself, and because you're an active reader, if you dig down, it's a very deep thing. It's not just like hooking up type of stuff. No. And if you're going to go that route, it's always great to know the person and talk about why. As I said, if somebody says, God loves you. Okay, why does he love me? Because if the person has no clue of the religious text or story, say a stranger says to you, on the subway, I love you. Or there's a person in the middle saying that so-and-so loves you. Look at that guy. You freak out, right? Yeah. It's not something, the same thing. People who are not from this cultural, they did not have cultural upbringing in a Christian world of sort. They have no clue. So no matter how much you say John 3:16, God so loved the world, if they don't know what that means, it's not going to work. And then you might develop an idea they got saved, because some people would do that. These preachers, when they go to countries like Pakistan, and they will gather flocks of people, thousands and thousands of people, and usually they have a very small little message, and they'll say, okay, raise your hands, how many people have accepted Christ? And almost everybody does that. And after a couple of months, you'd see a new guy coming from Australia, and then there's another guy from New Zealand, and another guy from Austria, right? But how many times do we have to save the same
Yeah.
group of people, right? Because they don't understand what it means. And have you given your life to Jesus? Have you given your heart to Jesus? Now, literally, that's a really scary idea.
Mhm.
Even metaphorically, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So I think why is very important and very relevant to our today's world, because all the bad things happening. Something came to my mind right now, and some people won't like it, but once I was watching uh, a local channel and news was playing some, there are channel 5 or 7
Yeah.
or these
Yeah.
kind of in New York, and there were 3 people. They are talking about a school shooting. 3 newscasters type people, and well put together, suited, and female too. And one of them says that, yeah, there is no understanding of evil. Why do we have evil? Uh, we just don't know. And the other 2 people, yeah, you don't know. And I'm watching this TV. These people are at commercial level working in one of the finest channels sitting in New York City. And I'm sitting here as an audience member and I'm saying, yeah, we do. Right? You just got to focus on that. First of all, the school shooter, if you take that individual as a case study, how did his mental formation got all messed up that he killed other people? Right? Then what's his background? What are the reasons of his becoming an evil, and that will connect to the broader evil? This is no compelling answer saying that we don't know the cause of evil. We do.
Yeah.
But again, you have to think about that why. You have to stop and think. A lot of us, okay, you read the news, then go home. And I live in Manhattan in one of the finest buildings and I have a doorman. Why should I worry about that? Somebody killing somewhere in Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we begin to question, that's healthier.
Yeah. I think it's hard too when there are so many atrocities that happen one after the other to be numbed to that wanting to question, because you're at the point where, well, how many do we have to go through? If we spend our time thinking about all this negative stuff, then when are we ever going to get time to be happy? So there is that sense of compartmentalization
Mm-hmm.
or time management of what you're going to spend your time thinking about. But yes, there shouldn't just be this open-ended question, because there is a logical explanation for it. Whether you want to know the logical explanation or not is
Right.
up to you, right?
Exactly. But I think so. People of faith,
Yeah.
the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament, both Judeo Christian followers. The book of Psalms, these people were really busy. David, Solomon, these guys were kings. They were having battles. But if you read their texts, they were reflecting. Now I cry, now I weep, I have heartache. God, where are you? Have you left me? I think it's because I have sinned and all that. It's all there.
Yeah.
Job, uh, what you're saying, like one after the other. So when we begin reading his atrocities, there were a lot, one after the other. But then there was a time of mourning and questioning and reflecting. I think that gets missing in fast-paced society. Although I don't believe, let me actually say this way. So when we say fast-paced, oh, we live in the time where we don't have time. But I think that was the case since the beginning.
Yeah.
Even like Jesus is telling a story, like a guy invited the other people in, and the couple said, "Oh, we just got married, we can't come," or "I got a new field, I'm a farmer."
Yeah.
They were busy too. And then I'm giving an example of the king Solomon and the King David. These are the head of the states. The state might be smaller, way smaller than ours, but still they had their own economic problems, political, justice related, right? Yeah. And but they do lament. They they do pray. They do praise. They do reflect. I think it's just like keeping your priorities straight. And when they reflect, they get the answers.
Yeah.
Right. And here, I think we live in a world where we just expect somebody to tell us what's the reason of these storms, and you can just tell right away, climate change. Period.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are the reasons of school shootings? Selling arms.
Yeah.
Period. But I intentionally went into belief system of moral formation because if you are taught to respect others, love others, care for others, you're not lonely. You have a community around you. Loving a genuine community, as I said, like I don't really care for a church. I can keep going for years and no one really knows me at the personal level.
Yeah.
Then yeah, that's not a church. It's just a show, like a Broadway show.
Yep.
And these things are the reasons in my own research, among many of the evil activities we have faced and are facing. Was it deep, or you're like,
Yeah.
ah?